Can AEW get any worse than this? I don't think so. That was some WCW bullshit right there. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. It is your AEW Dynamite review for the 24th of August. For people that say this show's great, this is great wrestling, great storyline, Tony Khan, Booker of the Year, what planet are you living on? Seriously, planet fucking Mars? Are you an alien? Are you fucking cut from the real life? This is shite. This is garbage. This is the worst wrestling promotion I've ever seen. 100% the worst wrestling promotion. And there's been a lot of bad ones, but this is by far the worst. And if there's one that's worse than this, then let me know. But seriously, I don't think there is. The main event tonight, it wasn't even the main event. The Undisputed title match, we'll talk about it more later in the show. Moxley's your new champion. And did it make any sense? Nah. You know, it made fucking no sense. But the fact it made no sense means it actually makes sense for AEW, because nothing on AEW makes sense. So, yeah, no, it kind of made sense because it was garbage. But, I mean, overall, you're expecting this big unification, this big Undisputed Championship match, which lasted like 2 minutes. And it was just a disaster. Punk even selling the wrong foot for the injury. What was the point? Interim champion just for that? Oh, man. Words can't even describe it. We kick off the show, though, with Jericho. Best part of the show is probably Jericho's theme song. I mean, the guy just gets everything over. He comes out. He calls out Garcia. Garcia comes out. The fans chant, "You're a wrestler." Jericho wants an apology because Garcia put his hands on him last week. Garcia gets annoyed. He claims it was a dream match, the type of match he always wanted growing up. He always wanted to be involved in a great match, and Jericho ruined that moment for him. Again, this just comes across as like very amateurish, very markish, talking about growing up wanting a great match. Most people grew up wanting to be a world champion. You know, they didn't really care about, I need to put on a great match so Meltzer gives me 5 stars. No, fuck that. I mean, when did Austin or Undertaker, ever care about getting a 5-star match in Meltzer's eyes? But again, this Garcia guy, absolute bum. Jericho says, "Don't worry, there'll be more moments." And now he says, "Tell me you're a sports entertainer." Brian comes out. He says he respects Garcia, and he says Garcia, in his opinion, is a wrestler. I can tell you this, he's definitely not a sports entertainer. I wouldn't say he's a wrestler either. He's just a jobber. He's an indie, vanilla midget. Garcia's freaking out. He's almost crying here. He says, "I can't do this. I can't make this decision out here right now in front of the fans." I'm like, what decision? You're not a sports entertainer. You're not a wrestler. You're a fucking bum. What decision have you got to make? Apparently, it's too much for him. He can't simply state whether he's a wrestler or a sports entertainer. Well, I'll state it for you, mate. You're neither. You should be released. There's not... The fact that AEW fans think this guy's a future main eventer just tells you everything you need to know about AEW. Fucking shit show. A disaster of a wrestling company. So Garcia then pushes Jericho. Jericho falls on his ass. Garcia walks off. Then Brian says, "We all know I don't like sports entertainment, but that was entertaining." Garbage for Brian. What do you mean you don't like sports entertainment, right? Without WWE, no one would have fucking heard of you, right? They gave you that WrestleMania 30 match. They gave you the big feud with Triple H, right? WWE made Daniel Bryan. No one cared about Daniel Bryanson or whatever he's called in Ring of Honor. The only reason he's in AEW is because he was in WWE. That's why he's got the fan base. That's why people know him. Yeah, there was about 2 people that knew of Bryan Danielson, but most people know him as Daniel Bryan because of WWE, because he was given the world title and he was given, that mega push going into Mania 30. So why don't you just stop? The bitterness towards WWE is fucking pathetic. It really is. Why? Why is he so bitter? Because WWE didn't want him coming back and breaking his neck? But God forbid WWE actually do not want the guy to get injured in the ring, but, he'll hold that against him. But people can, do all these dangerous moves to him in AEW and he loves it. It makes no sense. Jericho says that there's been loads of hype around Brian, that he's the best wrestler and all this stuff, best wrestler in the world. Jericho says he's never seen this, he's never fought a Brian. as the best wrestler. Finally, somebody's making sense here. Jericho says, if you want to talk about who's the best, Jericho says he has the ability, the reinvention, and the longevity to make a claim that he's the best. And I completely agree with Jericho. When you think about how long Jericho's been doing this, when you think of his actual ability, and when you think of how he's reinvented himself over the years, time and time again, you can make a claim that Jericho possibly is the best wrestler of all time. I've no complaints with that. Then Brian goes on a name-dropping fucking spree here. He drops Stu Hart's name, he drops Owen Hart's name. He says to Jericho, if you had to ask your trainer, Stu Hart, who's a better wrestler, Lionheart, Chris Jericho, or the American Brian Danielson, who would they say? If you had to ask your favourite wrestler, your idol, Owen Hart, who's the better wrestler, Chris Jericho, Lionheart, or Brian Danielson, American Dragon, who would Owen Hart say? Then he says, if we had a match tonight to see who the better wrestler is, who would win? Jericho then accepts his challenge, but he says, it won't be tonight, it'll be at All Out. So there you go, we're getting Brian Danielson versus Chris Jericho All Out. Should be an okay match. I mean, hopefully Jericho wins. I can't see it, but I think Jericho's been losing too much lately. But then again, Brian hasn't exactly been winning either. I mean, who cares? This company might not even make it to All Out. Never mind All Out, they should cash out. Tony Khan's dad should get as much fucking money as he can back from this failed experiment and just throw it in the bin, because it's horrendous. Speaking of horrendous, up next we get Dax Harwood and Jay Lethal. JR talks about promoters from the territory days and how promoters would love to have these guys in their territories, right? First of all, JR, the territory days were overrated. Nobody who was relevant in the territory days ever got over as a big star when you think about it. Apart from Ric Flair, who was just at the top. No one from when wrestling became popular, when wrestling became like mainstream, no one from the territory days became a star. Like I said, apart from Ric Flair. So I think the territory days are the most overrated of all time. I mean, Dusty Rhodes and all these stories Ric Flair talks about with like all these legends. I mean, when they got to WCW or WWF, they weren't nothing. I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, the territories were basically just people that might have been... They were people that were, like, really popular in, like, a certain part of the country, but they never had this, like, mainstream, like, widespread fame or popularity. So yeah, I mean, I think the territory days were massively overrated, if you ask me. But, the Darks, Harwood, whatever he's called. Guys, it's 3 AM here and I'm falling asleep. Let's quickly wrap this up. Jay Lethal beats Dax Harwood. Fuck Dax Harwood, he's shite. Moving on with a Thunder Rosa promo. She's crying. I'm crying having to watch this too. Says that she is injured. There's going to be a fatal 4-way match at All Out to crown a new interim champion. Again, why are they going with interim champion? Seriously. If it's a long-term injury, you vacate the belt. If it's not a long-term injury, then you don't need an interim champion. You just keep the belt on the champion. It's not fucking rocket science, Tony Khan. But no, she was crying here, and we're going to have a new interim champion, because the last time Tony Khan decided to make an interim champion, that worked really well. Then we get Billy Gunn versus Austin Gunn. The Acclaim come out with Billy Gunn. There were some decent lines in the rap. Max Caster says that Billy should have used a condom, and he says we're going to wipe out the guns like Biden did student debt. I guess that was okay. In the match, Billy gets low blowed, and his son hits his finisher and beats him. Post-match, the Guns beat down Billy and the Acclaimed. Then Swerve and Our Glory make the save. Or should I say, Swerve Strickland makes the save and Keith Lee just walks out about 10 miles behind him like the fat bastard that he is. Then we get a 6-man promo between a bunch of jobbers. Can't believe this is the main event. Pac says it's Will Ospreay, probably the most overrated guy in wrestling at the moment. People saying he's the best wrestler. He's a nobody. I mean, he is legit. Again, you talk about people that don't have any character, personality. You talk about someone that could never be a sports entertainer, someone that could never be a WrestleMania headliner. That's Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay's a guy that belongs in Ring of Honor, wrestling in front of about 20 people, and that's it. That's Will Ospreay's heights. That's his limits. Pac says he's not going to kill them tonight. He's going to murder them. Was that supposed to be impressive? Was that supposed to entertain me? Didn't do nothing for me. Then we get Baker versus King. Who the fuck cares? Baker, King. Are we supposed to be invested in this match? Seriously? Britt Baker beats this King person, whoever it is. They probably got a 1 win and 25 losses record or something. Who knows? Then Baker claims to be a real champ. She says that she wrestled her entire title reign with a broken wrist. Don't know whether that's true or not. Sounds like bullshit to me. Toni Storm comes out to defend her friend, Thunder Rosa. She gets attacked from behind by Baker's crew. And then Shida comes in and makes a save with a candlestick. Who cares? Then we get a promo backstage. Swerve and her Glory said that they loved the Acclaim, but that's not the reason they saved them. They saved them because they're ranked, and they want a title shot against the ranked opponents. The Acclaim then say that they don't need saved. They don't need saved by anybody, and that they know they're ranked and they're going to be the new champs because everybody loves the Acclaim. Just another terrible promo here. Right, then we get to the top of the hour. The match everybody's been waiting for is Punk versus Moxley, AEW World Champion versus AEW Interim Champion. JR says he's never been so hyped. He says this has got a big match feel that he has never experienced before in his 40 years of wrestling history. JR, you fucking liar, pants on fire, man. JR is completely spewing bullshit here. How can JR seriously say with a straight face that he's never been more hyped or he's never seen a more big match feel in his entire wrestling history? Come on. Come on, JR. You're losing a lot of credibility there. And I love you. Best commentator of all time, right? Not even close, but to claim that it's just ridiculous. It's lying. It's straight up lying. And I hope Tony Khan's paying you a lot of money. I hope you're getting big checks to lie, because you're not doing your credibility any good with just basically coming out and saying stuff like that, because that is ridiculous. Anyway, we get into the match. Punk comes out with his stupid fucking Adidas tights or whatever, his long wrestling gym pants or whatever. Terrible look. He looks disinterested. The match goes about 30 seconds. Punk kicks Moxley. Moxley falls down. Punk starts selling a foot injury, but he sells the wrong foot, which is embarrassing. Moxley gets up, hits a couple of moves on Punk, pins him, and wins. What the actual hell? Moxley squashes Punk, buries Punk to become the new undisputed AEW champion. The commentators say that maybe Punk returned too early from his injury. Punk gets taken out to the back, carried out by officials or whatever. Moxley celebrating in the ring. JD from New York said this was a masterpiece. This is desperation. This is pure desperation. That's when you know someone's on the AEW payroll. No matter what shite AEW are shoveling out here, AEW fans will just pretend it's great. They could literally open the show with a pile of dog shit in the ring and just keep the camera on it for 2 hours, and they would say it was fantastic dog shit. It was great wrestling dog shit. It was 5-star dog shit. It's sad. It's sad and pathetic. But what was the point of this? And now this could be storyline, kayfabe, injury, whatever. But why? It doesn't make any sense in my opinion. What was the point of having an interim champion just for Moxley to beat Punk like this? If they wanted to have an injury excuse, why not just strip Punk off the belt and then Moxley's the champion? And then Punk can come back with the injury excuse anyway, even though it was a legit injury. So what's the point of Punk getting injured and then just losing the belt in a match? What sense does that make? And if Punk does come back and Punk beats Moxley, then what was the point of Moxley winning? That just takes away Moxley's moment. And the fact that Moxley beat an injured Punk doesn't do anything for him anyway. So whatever you do here, someone's getting buried. Either, Punk looks like shit and Moxley gets a shite title victory, or Punk comes back and beat Moxley and then Moxley's run just looks pathetic. Either way, this was horrible booking. WCW 2.0, but of course AEW fans will say it was great. It was horrendous, man. It was awful. If WWE done this, and I don't think WWE would ever do this, but if they did, they would get criticised, and rightfully so. But this was horrendous for AEW. So their big title match ends in Moxley burying him in 2 minutes. And what does this mean for the title match at All Out? Are they going to have a match at All Out? All Out in Chicago. Is Punk going to be at All Out? Is Punk going to be at the next fucking Rampage or Dynamite? Who knows? I personally think he could be gone. I would not be surprised if he's gone. But we'll see. I mean, JR claims he's never been so hyped about a match. What a disappointment this was. I mean, seriously. Then we had a Christian promo, and I missed it because I was making a video on Moxley burying Punk that I missed probably the best thing about this show. So, unfortunately, I don't know what Christian said, but it will be Christian versus Jungle Boy at All Out, and I'm looking forward to that one. We got a Ricky Starks promo, wasn't that great. He was complaining about Powerhouse Hobbs. He says that Ricky Starks looked after Powerhouse Hobbs when Ricky Starks ate. Powerhouse Hobbs ate. I mean, just nothing good here. Just garbage, really. Then we got Moxley cutting a promo. He says what he got into the camera. He's talking into the camera. He's like, what's wrong? You weren't expecting that, were you? Moxley then goes on a wee bit of a rant and says his time is now. I thought it was John Cena. Da, 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 da. My time is now. My time is here. Dun, 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 dun. Summer of Moxley. I mean, what is this? Yeah, my time is now. So you go, John Moxley just, I don't know, rip off John Cena. He wishes he was John Cena. He wishes he was a tenth as good as John Cena. And then we get into the main event, 6 bums. It's the guys with masks and Pac versus the British guys, Will Ospreay. Fucking horrendous. It's Ospreay and Felix start the ring. And honestly, they started the match and it was like 1 minute of gymnastics. The opening 1 minute was like just pure gymnastics. This is not wrestling. This looked like more like Dancing with the Stars. I mean, these two were like dancing with each other, throwing each other around, cooperating with each other. This ain't wrestling. This is shit. How can people think this is good? They were literally helping each other, throw each other, catching each other across the ring. I mean, this was fucking horrendous. Man, I don't care. When did wrestling fans turn into such pussies? What happened to, like physical action, like big guys fighting? I don't get it. Now you've got these wee vanilla midgets dancing with each other. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Anyway, some guy returns. I don't even know who it is. Is it Tyler Bate or, I don't know, Kip Sabian? Kip Sabian returns. Will Ospreay gets the win. JR calls it an upset. Kenny Omega comes out. Will Ospreay calls Omega down to the ring. Omega's going to come down to the ring. Omega's manager comes out, stops Omega coming to the ring, and that's it. Show goes off the air with Omega looking at Will Ospreay. Oh, Jesus. What can you say about this? I'm going to give it a -10 for that title match alone. Absolutely horrendous. I mean, they fucked up the whole title thing with interim championship, and now they're having another interim championship with the women's. I mean, Tony cannot learn from his mistakes. And I mean, if that mean it, these six man tag matches are they're bombs. They're just six. They're 6 foot. They're 6 midgets. They're 6 indie guys. It's 6 Ring of Honor guys thrown together. I remember back in the day, you used to get like really good 6-man tag matches in WWE. You had like the NWO teaming up. Remember NWO taking on Kane, Hogan, and The Rock. Sometimes you had like 3 members of Evolution teaming up to take on, maybe like Jericho, Benoit, Goldberg, or Michaels or something like that. Back in the Attitude Era, sometimes you had like, I don't know, Triple H and The Nation or DX, or the McMahons teaming up, or you had Kane and Undertaker on a team. You'd Austin. Oh man, you'd so much good shit. And now AEW has just got these, spot monkeys, like wee gymnastic fucking 5-foot freaks, and it's like none of these guys, you don't care about them. You literally do not care. I don't want to watch 5-foot fucking vanilla midgets with no personality, no charisma, no nothing, that do gymnastics. I don't want to see that. Who does want to see that, apart from the fucking retarded neckbeards in the crowd, man? This was a shit show. I'm giving it -10. If you don't like it, then unsubscribe. Simple as that. AEW fucking sucks. No one's going to tell me any different. Fuck this show. I can't wait, man. I cannot wait till it goes out of business. Honestly, the people like Jericho, Christian, they need to just jump back ship to the WWE. Why not? They've got a couple of good years left in them. Why not just go back to WWE? William Regal, go back to WWE, have one last run, one final match, do it. JR, come on, go back to WWE. You can commentate on one last WrestleMania. Let's just get off this jumping ship. This is Titanic. There's not enough lifeboats for all of these. If you don't get off soon, you're going to fucking drown. So get back to WWE while you can. That is it, guys. Till next time. Peace.